respect us now. And one of the things...
That's a good line.
One of the things is when you send a signal to the other countries, you want them to know whether they agree with you or not, at least that you're on the level, that here's where you are and what you believe. What are they supposed to make to these endless tributes to the late, great Hannibal Lecter?
This is one of the most intelligent people to ever be president.
President Obama once gave me the great honor of saying I was the explainer-in-chief. Folks, I've thought about it, and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he's made some great points so far. I was listening to it the whole time.
Like Hakeem Jeffries, I too want an America that's more joyful, more inclusive, more future-focused.
I see why the Democrats have been worshiping him since
what a burden it's been on us to get up day after day after day after day, buried in meaningless hot rhetoric, when there's so many opportunities out there, so many problems that need to be solved. I want that. And that's the America Kamala Harris will lead.
John Quincy Adams will always be the most intelligent president because he spoke like 7 languages, or it might have even been 11.
She's already made her first presidential decision, and she knocked it out of the park when she asked Governor Tim Walz to be her nominee for vice president. As they used to say when I was a young man growing up in Arkansas, you do not have to be all broke out with brilliance. You just look at Tim Walz, listen to him, follow his record as a teacher, as a coach in the National Guard, as a congressman where he was the only Democrat, save one, elected in that district in more than 100 years. And he stayed a long time. And then he became a great governor. And by all accounts, he was a crack shot who had the courage among his rural constituents to say, we do not need these assault weapons available to people who can kill our kids in school.
Something that Clinton is a master of is the conversational tone. It feels like you're just sitting down talking to him. Reagan was really good at that too in a conservative way. His was much more intense though. You can tell why Clinton was so good at getting in women's pants.
So armed with her first decision, Kamala Harris confronts an interesting dilemma. We're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good, I think. We've got energy, we are happy, we feel like a load's off our shoulders. And we know we're just being asked to fight the same fight that the forces of progress have had to fight for 250 years. In the face of stiff and often violent opposition, we have to find a way to go forward together, where we the people make our union more perfect. So that's a good thing. How could we possibly lose? Kamala Harris has fought for kids her whole life that were left out and left behind. She's taken on gangs trafficking across the border. She's fought to protect the rights of homeowners. She's been our leader in the fight for reproductive freedoms, and we know a majority of the American people are with us on that. And she's gained an invaluable amount of experience as vice president, advancing our values and interests around the world. She's already said she's going to work really hard to make sure that no American working full-time lives in poverty or has to worry about their children living in poverty. He says that we got to make home ownership an achievable dream for everyone, not just a privilege. She said that and this meant a lot to me, that she would protect everybody's right to vote, whether or not they voted for her. They were citizens and they deserved the right to vote.
Exactly. Rights for everybody.
The other day, her opponent implied that as his people voted one more time, they'd be able to rig it from now on and they wouldn't have to vote again.
That's exactly what he implied.
You
yeah.
think they're
He's right.
kidding, but I know a lot of these folks, and most of them are really good people, but some of them think that they are bound to dominate America politically, economically, and socially, and they have to use politics to do it, and they should rig the system. I don't believe that. And so here's what I want to tell you. We've seen more than one election slip away from us when we thought it couldn't happen, when people got distracted by phony issues or overconfident. This is a brutal, tough business. I want you to be happy. One of the reasons that President-to-be Harris is doing so well is that we're all so happy.
Quincy says Bill lost the juice.
Well, he's 78.
But you should never
Right.
underestimate your adversary. And these people are really good
I think he's
at
doing great, all
distracting
things
us.
considered.
at
I
triggering
agree,
doubt,
honestly.
at triggering buyer's remorse. As the Obama said
Going
so eloquently
old man
last
slow,
night,
dude. Why
they
not?
are human, you
Yeah.
know. They're bound to make a mistake now and then. We got to be tough. And so, as somebody who spends a lot of time in small towns and rural areas in New York and Arkansas and other places, I urge you to talk to all your neighbors. I urge you to meet people where they are. I urge you not to demean them, but not to pretend you don't disagree with them if you do. Treat them with respect, just the way you'd like them to treat you.
And when you feel them suck you down, don't go with them.
Yeah, cut them off.
Ask for their help and then follow
Get out of there.
Yeah.
our leader,
Separate yourself from the situation.
Kamala, and ask them, how can I help you? We Democrats right now have a lot of hay in the barn. We've got massive achievements, massive advances, but there's still a lot of slips between today and Election Day that we have to navigate. And so, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I have no idea how many more of these I'll be able to come to. I started in '76, and I've been to every one since.
Last time Dems
But
won Texas.
no,
Yeah, that's right.
72.
Speaking of Jimmy Carter,
Lord,
he's
I'm
off
getting
the
old.
election.
But here's what I want you to know.
Jimmy Carter should make an appearance.
If you vote for this team, if you can get them elected and let them bring in this breath of fresh air,
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
You will be proud of it for the rest of your life. Your children will be proud of it. Your grandchildren will be proud of it.
Yeah, this is the speech he needs to give, honestly. Like, I'm not a fan of the Clintons at all, but like, it makes sense for them to be here and say what they need to say. And
Oh, I don't think you can get past a former
Take it.
president of your party
No, of
being
course not.
at least he's a little entitled to it.
yeah, no,
From a
of course.
man
did-
who once
he-
had the
he
honor
did
to
win.
be called in this convention,
Yeah.
the man from Hope. We need
He won, yeah.
We need Kamala Harris, the president of Joy, to lead us.
You're on
So-
camera, Doug. Don't do anything stupid.
I'll be doing my part, you do yours. I'll see you when we're making a real joyful noise when the votes are counted. God bless you, and God bless America.
Yeah, he's looking forward to it as well.
Oh, I gotta take this off for copyright.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so all right,
from one of the
Bill.
best-selling albums of all time, of course, like it's gonna pick up like right away. Go ahead.
I have tremendous respect for the political athleticism of Bill Clinton. He has 4 major sins: the NAFTA agreement, the Telecom Act, the biggest one was the repeal of Glass-Steagall,
Yep.
and of course the crime bill.
Yeah.
So, and they've been apologetic about the crime bill. They haven't been apologetic about anything else, but they do recognize that they gave in to conservatives there. But that's the thing. He spent so much caving to conservatives on policy.
Yeah.
He did so much damage, and the era of big government is over. It really hurt the intellectualism of politics in America.
And those talking points are still left over from that era to this day. I mean, they didn't know how to go up against Reagan and the Reaganites, Reaganomics in general and whatnot. So he had to kind of play their game and had to start like kowtowing to them, not only politically but like when it came to like legislation and whatnot as well. So I mean, he worked with what he had, you know. Otherwise, like, there wasn't much of a future for Democrats. The problem is, Democrats stuck to that mode of operation since the Clinton days for far, far, far too long.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi!
Oh boy.
Oh, we got music. Hold on. I might have to mute.
It's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Just be careful. really annoying.
Nancy. Yeah. Very, very
Talk
mixed
about
feelings about her.
When she called Trump obese, that was my favorite Nancy moment. Morbidly obese, too. She really put some mustard on it.
Damn.
It's like, you know, the president, who is, of course, morbidly obese. Obesity is a serious problem. We got to talk more about it.
Yeah, so is people past 80 still in Congress.
Yeah.
Like that New Jersey congressman just died. He was like
On
87
January
and he was running for
20th,
re-election.
2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times. And we quickly proved that Democrats deliver. Millions of jobs, stronger infrastructure and rural broadband, a Biden child tax credit, rescuing human pensions, honoring our veterans, bold climate action, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, all thanks to President Biden's patriotic vision of a fairer America, doing so with liberty and justice for all.
I hate when they
Thank
do
you,
that.
Joe.
I hate when they invoke the cliches, the adages.
Very, very
A little,
much
like-
so. She
And
kinda
I
clings to
know
it, too.
that Vice President
Quoting the
Harris
Declaration of Independence.
is ready to take
too much.
us to new heights. I've known Kamala Harris for decades. Personally, I know her a person of deep faith, which is reflected in her community care and service. Officially, she is a leader of strength and wisdom and eloquence on policy, most recently demonstrated fighting for women's right to choose.
You know, she's politically savvy, but she's not a very good actor
she is
at all.
astute and strategic in winning difficult elections, quickly securing the nomination with dignity and grace, and choosing Tim Walz as our vice president.
Like, she's a huge insider. Like, she does insider
I had
trading
the
and
honor
whatnot.
of serving with Tim
Totally
for
corrupt.
12 years in the Congress. He united Democrats, Republicans, and independents to turn a red district blue. He showed courage when he came to Congress in voting for the Affordable Care Act, meeting the needs of his constituents despite Republicans' lies and misrepresentation. When he went home, won the election, he returned to Congress. He fought for our Americans' heroes as the Democratic leader of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Thank you, Tim. January 6th was a perilous moment for our democracy. Never before had a president of the United States so brazenly assaulted the bedrock of our democracy, so gleefully embraced political violence, so willfully betrayed his oath of office. Let us not forget who assaulted democracy on January 6th. He did. But let us not forget who saved democracy
They try
that
to
day.
gaslight us. It's
We
like,
did. And thank God we had a Democratic House of Representatives then.
That's a really good point. A lot of
We
people forget
returned to
that.
the Capitol that very same night. We insisted on certifying the election results on the floors of the House and the Senate. And we demonstrated to America and to the world that American democracy prevailed. The parable of January 6th reminds us that our democracy is only as strong as the courage and commitment of those entrusted with its care. And we must choose leaders who believe in free and fair elections, who respect the peaceful transfer of power.
That's basically what every election from here on out comes
The
down to.
choice couldn't be clearer. Those leaders are Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
It just sucks that the risk is just so high now, given the stakes of everything.
When the sun rose on January 7th, as our national anthem declares, we gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
She's doing it again. That
Now,
shades
in this election, we are called upon to do the same, to stand together, to reject autocracy, to choose democracy, and we will do so by electing a Democratic House with Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House.
He was out. Yeah, you missed him. I was watching him
Electing
earlier.
a Democratic Senate, electing Tim Walz as Vice
I don't think I've
President
ever really
of the
seen him
United
speak too
States,
much.
He's a good speaker. It's frustrating
and
knowing
electing Kamala Harris as the
how corporate
President
he
of
is.
the
Yeah.
United States.
Corporate centrist, not even remotely progressive.
Onward to victory!
All right, Pelosi, retire.
Yeah, why are you not retired by now? No music?
No music.
All right, so we've had Bill, we've had Nancy.
Please welcome
Pete Buttigieg.
Alexander Hudlin, Jasper
Pete Buttigieg
Emhoff,
sucked.
and Arden Emhoff.
Oh, the vice president's kids?
Who's kids?
I don't know.
And
Kamala Harris is our auntie.
Okay, so
She'll be a president who cares for all of us.
She'll lift us up. In 2016, we celebrated Auntie's Senate win. We saw Trump winning. I was only 9, but I knew enough to be concerned. Auntie said, "Do you know what superheroes do? They fight back. And we will too."
Superheroes, huh?
yeah,
Okay.
Most
She
important election
will make
in
time
history,
for what
or at
matters.
least of our lifetimes. It's like,
You know, no one is
It's like-
busier than my auntie,
it's like
but
Marvel
she always
superheroes.
makes time for family. From moments as simple as cooking and sharing a meal to exchanging stories and jokes.
Can you turn your volume down a little bit?
Auntie taught
My
me
volume?
about being present
Yeah, your
in what's
microphone.
important. And I know
Yeah.
that's how she'll lead.
She'll treat everyone with respect. Even as a kid, Auntie made me feel that I was seen, that my words are important, that I am important and loved. I know she'll value others' perspectives, no matter their age or their background.
Auntie, we love you.
We're so proud of you.
And most importantly, you're a baller. And as you'd say,
What?
let's win this thing.
Let's
win this thing.
I liked Steve Kerr the other day. That was cool.
Yeah. I think I figured out the issue. Said I turned
Please
off
welcome nominee for
automatically
U.S.
adjust mic
Congress in
volume. Is that good?
California, Latifah Simon.
Yeah, you sound fine. It's just whenever I review these, you always come in louder than me.
Yeah.
So it would be more for your system audio.
Right. Well, since I'm using StreamYard on this computer, I didn't have the settings exactly the way I
Right.
usually do. So it had me. It automatically adjusted it to make it.
My
like,
name is Latifah
fucking
Simon,
louder
and
than
I
usual.
am running for Congress. And I'm here tonight to tell you all about the Kamala Harris that I know. I'm going to tell you. When Kamala Harris was the district attorney in San Francisco, California, I was
Oh yeah.
a teen mother
Yeah, those concerts
running an
at Golden Gate Park is
organization
amazing.
working to end sex trafficking among beautiful young women and girls, to build the self-determination and power among those girls. And Kamala learned about the work that I was doing, and she asked me to join her team. And I joined her team. She saw my potential, my commitment, and the good work that we could do together. And I saw her. I saw Kamala Harris holding the hands of sexual assault survivors. I saw scores of mothers who lost their babies to gun violence, lining up day after day at the courthouse, waiting only to speak to Kamala because they knew that she would hear them, that she would truly see them, because there's something about Kamala Harris. For those who know her, you know. When she hears your story, she carries it with her. When she sees you, she truly sees you. She truly sees you. She is the best among us. After working with Kamala Harris day in and day out for 5 years to create programs that supported young people to get out of the criminal justice system once and for all with good jobs, with opportunities opportunity.
All right, I think we can chat for a minute. So, did you know that abortion is on the ballot in Florida, Arizona, Montana, and Nevada?
I knew that was on the ballot in Arizona and Florida.
That's wild. That's going to lead to huge turnout.
That really
It's going to help
is.
It's going to help John Tester a lot
yep.
in Montana.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think we could get this thing. Could be 51-49 Democrats, or would it be 50-50 with the vice president as the tiebreaker? I think that's what it is. I have to double check.
For what?
For the Senate. If Tester wins, if Brown wins, and Justice wins.
The vice president would be the tiebreaker if it was.
Yeah, then I think it's
50-50,
50-50. Well, I know that, but is it going to be 50-50 if Tester wins? Or is it going to be 51-49?
I believe it's going to be 51-49.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge news when I was listening to Schumer earlier when he brought that up.
Yeah, because
Makes me think Florida's in play.
no, for real. If we win Florida, that's like game set match right there. That'd be fucking wild.
Amazing.
That'd be insane.
That would give her 349 if she won Florida. Because if she wins Florida, that means she's winning Arizona, she's winning Nevada, she's winning everything else.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
No, for real. Like that would be like just the big old cherry on top. Honestly, like there's no way she loses those other states if she wins Florida. But like yeah, because Manchin's not going to be winning
Right.
his seat. That makes it 50, and then Tester would make it 51.
Oh God, you went underwater there for a second. What did you just say?
Oh, because Manchin is not going to win his Senate seat, that makes it 50. But Tester winning makes it 51, if I'm not mistaken.
But Tester's already in the Senate.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
wouldn't it be
okay.
50-50?
Then.
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. We'll have
might
to
be
see.
Right.
Because right now it's 50-50, right?
Oh, it's 52-48. No, wait, yeah, I think it actually is right now.
Maya Harris. We became best friends, but the way Kamala tells the story, we'd already fallen in love by graduation day. And when Maya and I married, I not only gained a life partner I love, a daughter I adore, and a mother-in-law I revered, someone I affectionately called Mother Harris, I also gained a sister I cherish, Kamala. Now, Maya, Kamala, and I each pursued different legal careers, but we were motivated by the same values,
4 independents
a belief
caucus
in
with the
equal
Democrats.
opportunity, a
Wait, hold on.
yearning for fairness.
Hold on.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So there's 46 Democrats in the Senate with 4 independents that caucus with them, and 49 Republicans, and there's 1 vacant seat. I believe that vacant seat is Sinema's seat in Arizona. If I'm not
Yeah, the guy in Arizona's gonna win.
Yeah, so that would mean that vacant.
I'll look up current Senate polls.
That vacant seat would go to. It would go to the Democrats, and if Tester keeps his seat, that means that Democrats would get a 51-49 majority.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but then again, I think I didn't account the fact that
Gallego?
Manchin would be losing, so that would make it a 50-50 Senate with the vice president being the tiebreaker.
So Gallego, yeah, because Gallego's going up against Kerry Lake, so Gallego's going to win in Arizona.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But losing a seat with Manchin, keeping the seat with Tester, and Gallego winning that seat in Arizona, that would make it 50.
It's too bad Florida doesn't have a Senate race going on right now.
Right. Yeah, that would be that would.
Or do they?
Work in our favor. I don't believe they do.
No, they don't.
Actually.
They
yeah.
don't. They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what this guy has to say. More vibes. Let's hear some more vibes.
Right.
That's what it means to stand up for justice. That's
guy?
what it means to stand for the
Friend
people.
of
And as
Kamala's.
Kamala says, when you know what you stand
Married
for,
into their family or something.
you know
God,
what to
couldn't care
fight
less.
for.
Right.
So Casey's up by
And look,
4
believe me when I tell you,
in
as a
Pennsylvania.
sister, a daughter, an auntie, and a mother, I've seen Kamala fight for
All right,
her
honestly,
family.
I think our
As
audience.
District Attorney, Attorney General,
How would you? I don't know. How
US
many people do you
Senator
have
and
watching
Vice
right now?
President of the United States, I
2.
have watched her fight in the
Do you
halls
think
of
they would
power for
rather
those
listen to
who
this,
have no voice there.
or do you think we'd rather
And
look at
as
some
president,
Senate polls real quick
I know.
while this guy's talking, and then
I
come back to
know
when it's a bigger
she'll
name?
fight for
Sure,
you.
yeah, we'll lower the
She'll fight for
volume
all
on
of
this.
us.
No,
bit
just
and
no.
then-
I got just gonna do this. I'm
Okay.
just gonna do this.
All right.
All right. So I'm gonna keep him on my. I'm gonna keep him in my ear in the background. I don't know how much time we're gonna have. Okay, so we're just not even gonna look at who did the poll, just the polls themselves because we don't have time.
Right.
Virginia comfortable. Kane up by 11. Done. Pennsylvania, Casey up by 4, according to Signal. Always take the lower number when there's a huge number like that with Casey plus 8.
Yeah.
Especially it's Redfield too, so that's interesting. I know Redfield is actually conservative. Rosen in Nevada looks comfortable.
That's
New
good.
Mexico. Heinrich looks good in New Mexico. Gallego looks good in Arizona. Casey in Pennsylvania. Baldwin in Wisconsin, all up by more than 5. Wow, Wisconsin's going to be really blue this election.
Hell yeah.
And then Tester, the most important one, Montana, August 6th through the 14th. So that was a week ago. He was plus 5. That's awesome. And Montana's got abortion. Dude, I think this is, all signs point towards a really strong opportunity for the Democratic Party to create some really big change. I don't know if it's actually going to happen because they're not used to having this much political power. But hopefully Kamala does her homework and she's like, well, who was the last president to have this much political power? It was Obama in his first 2 years. And what did he do? He passed the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
So anyway, these are all the Senate races. Look good. Let's have some fun. They're rolling some short film I couldn't care less about. Let's do Congress. Do they have Congress? Yeah, U.S. House, all. And just take a quick look at the close ones. All right, Bacon in Nebraska, second, is only up by 2. He's a Republican. New Hampshire, no contest. I'm just going to scroll through the close ones. Maryland, the Democrats only up by 2.
Okay.
And in Oregon, Democrats up by 2. It's shocking how close so many elections are.
Right.
Arizona 1, Shaw is tied with Schweiker. So those are the close ones, I guess.
Yeah, we definitely need.
These are a while ago. Now we're getting into a while ago. Things have changed.
No, big time. Yeah.
The bubble effect is real right now.
Yeah.
It's like we need to make sure she has as much political power as possible. That way there's no excuse, man. Because if we turn around in 8 years, I think I got 8 years on you. Like, if we turn around and you're my age and we're still stuck with incrementalism and like things are only a little bit better, that's not cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
Here, let's get over. They're showing her do some stuff with Kavanaugh. Let's have a look.
The mail. Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the mail body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
They didn't know what hit them. And in those moments, so many people saw her for the first time and saw how tough she was.
Would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney.
I think you've made it clear, sir, that you've not looked at the evidence, and we can move on.
When she's on a mission, she is determined and relentless.
This
When
is
our
my first,
fundamental values are being
heard of her
attacked,
was,
do we retreat or do we fight? I say we
going
fight.
after Barr, going after
If you
Kavanaugh.
want to go forward in this country,
God, she's cute.
not go backward, then there is only one choice.
The whole Kavanaugh hearing thing is actually a big thing. Like everything surrounding Kavanaugh was actually a big reason why I went from like a centrist to an actual lefty. Like, because I saw.
Oh, really?
a lot of hypocrisy. Like I was like, well, hold on a minute. Like this guy's actually not really a good pick to be on the Supreme Court, and like, look at how he's reacting too, and like,
You know,
this is the best they can do.
before I
It's
was
like,
senator,
and there's a whole lot more to it, but like,
I was
that
Nevada's
whole
attorney
thing was,
and that's when I met Kamala
I guess
Harris,
fundamental for
my
me.
colleague in California. Now, we bonded over many things. And working together, I quickly learned what kind of person she is. She is a strong leader. Here's how I know. As AGs, we took on the big banks after the foreclosure crisis. And let me tell you, Kamala...
Oh, we are a nation of lawyers.
Her leadership, her leadership
No kidding.
We're actually a nation of salesmen, as Frank Underwood puts it so brilliantly.
Kamala and I also worked to
Right.
protect our southern border. During that time, Kamala invited a group of AGs across the border to meet with Mexican officials. And we worked together to put transnational criminals and drug smugglers behind bars. Holding criminals accountable, that's Kamala Harris. Listen, and when we took on human traffickers, Kamala had us meet with survivors so that we could understand who we were fighting for. Standing up for justice, that's Kamala Harris. So trust me when I say I know she will fight for our families and our freedoms. Now, we must fight for her. Every vote matters. I know. In 2016, Nevadans elected me, the granddaughter of a baker from Mexico, to serve as the first Latina in the United States Senate. I'll tell you what. And in 2022, my re-election came down to 7,928 votes. Because of voters
It's a tough
in
state.
Nevada, the Democrats won the Senate majority. And I'm here to tell you, we can do it again. We can send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. Are we ready to do it? Are we ready to fight? Let's get it done, Chicago. Thank you, everyone.
Sounds so much better coming out of Kamala's mouth than it does yours, sweetheart. Good try. You are not tough. That's what she's got. That's Kamala's ethos, is that she's tough.
No, yeah.
Oh, Shapiro.
Oh, so he's here now, huh?
Oh, he's a team player. He's a team player. Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Is that where they're at tonight, or is it still Chicago?
No, no,
Right,
Chicago.
of
I'm
course,
saying.
In
Yeah.
Philadelphia,
Interrupt just a little bit.
patriots
Yeah.
declared their independence from a king and set ourselves on a path of self-determination.
Wonder what he's got to say.
Generation after generation has embraced that responsibility. Ordinary Americans rising up, demanding more, seeking justice. And in every chapter of our American story, we've made progress and advanced the cause of freedom. Today, we find ourselves
you know, he sounds
writing
like he gets a
that
lot of
next
shit.
chapter.
He actually got asked about this.
Will we be a nation
Sounds like
defined
Obama.
by chaos
Yeah.
and extremism? Or will we choose a path of decency, honor,
does sound
and
like
continued
Obama.
progress?
Even the tone.
Kamala Harris,
Yes.
well, she has spent her entire career making progress.
Is that
Donald
right?
Trump, a man with no guardrails,
News to me.
wants to take away our rights and our freedoms. And listen, while he cloaks himself in the blanket of freedom, what he's offering isn't freedom at all. Because hear me on this, it's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. No, it's not. And it's not freedom to tell women what they can do with their bodies. And hear me on this, it sure as hell isn't freedom to say you can go vote, but he gets to pick the winner. That's not freedom.
That's right.
But you know what? You know what, Democrats? We are the party of real freedom. That's right. The kind of real freedom that comes when that child has a great public school with an awesome teacher because we believe in her future. Real freedom that comes when we invest in the police and in the community so that child can walk to and from school and get home safely to her mama. Real freedom that comes when she can join a union, marry who she loves, start a family on her own terms, breathe clean air, drink pure water, worship how she wants, and live a life of purpose where she is respected for who she is. Real freedom that comes when she can look at Madam President and know that this is a nation where anything and everything is possible. That is real freedom, and that is what we are fighting for.
It's always a fight.
You know,
Talk about fighting.
Kamala and Tim's names may be on the ballot, but it's your rights. It's our rights. It's our future and freedoms that are on the line. And you have the power to shape the future of this country. Just like our ancestors who fought for freedom on the battlefield and sat in at lunch counters so our kids could stand up. Now it's on us. It's on us, my friends, to organize in our communities and on our For You pages around three basic American principles. We value our freedom, we cherish our democracy, and we love this country. And listen,
Melanie Kanalakis. There she is.
And listen, despite our challenges, hear me on this, I want you to know I have never been more hopeful because I see in all of you the enduring promise of America. E pluribus unum, out of many one. It's not merely a motto from the past, it's our direction for the future.
I got a new motto for us. I'm not going to share it right now, but
you all give me
it's
hope,
Latin.
and you all have the power. So let's use that power. Let's do the hard work necessary to win this election and write the next chapter in our American story. So are you ready to protect our rights?
Did you just
are you ready to secure
publish a
our
short?
freedoms? And are you ready to defend our democracy?
I put a video earlier
And
today.
are you ready to elect
for whatever
Kamala
reason,
Harris and Tim Walz?
I didn't have the remix option.
America, let's get to work!
The last couple nights. So
They take a while. You got to do them on videos. I download them, take out a lot of the verbal pauses, re-upload them, and then cut them into shorts. All right, you know, Shapiro, thank God he's not the VP nominee, man. Thank God. She made the
Please
right
welcome
decision with
author,
Walz.
activist, and youngest presidential inaugural poet
Yeah, I
in
was trying to make a
American
short
history,
out of,
Amanda Gorman.
Obama's speech last night, and I couldn't, so I just ended up making a video clip.
All right, now this usually gets really boring, so we're going to give it a chance, but if I get bored, we're just going to shoot the shit.
Of course. Now this is who?
We gather
Poet.
at this hallowed place because we believe in the American dream. We face a race that tests if this country we cherish shall perish from the earth, and if our earth shall perish from this country. It falls to us to ensure that we do not fall for a people that cannot stand together, cannot stand at all. We are one family, regardless of religion, class, or color. For what defines a patriot is not just our love of liberty, but our love for one another.
Yeah, I personally like these poetic, artsy-fartsy types.
This is loud in our country's call because
here, I'm gonna mute her for you.
Yeah, it's just it's just a bit.
It's heavy.
It's pretentious for me. Like honestly, I appreciate the sentiment, but it's just. It's like,
I mean, she's tough to say. She's tough to say no to. She's super cute. Like it's really tough to say no to.
Of course. It's kind of like slam poetry. It's like barely even poetry at all. It's just speaking a bit more with a bit more eloquence. You know, it's like it's kind of insufferable. I've never been a big fan of it. It's like. Stop.
You went underwater there for a second. Whatever you just did, you went underwater for a little bit.
Oh, okay, that was weird. Yeah, no, it's like just because you speak a bit more like colorfully and with a bit more eloquence and expression doesn't make you a poet. Maybe that's a hot take, I guess, but like I've just never looked at it like this style as like.
Poetry to me is the most complicated literal art form. I do not understand poetry. I will never understand like sophisticated, like the really hard stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah.
The real classics that you're like, they're amazing, but you could never figure out the meaning on your own.
Sometimes there's something to it, but like lyricism speaks more than me than poeticism. Even a good short story, it's far more appealing to me, you know, than like the style of slam poetry and just the way it's spoken and delivered and whatnot. It's just like it just comes off as pretentious to me. You know, it's not for everybody, but I mean, maybe it's for some people, but
what I'm looking for that I'm never going to get, or maybe someday I will get, maybe if I get the opportunity, this is what I'll do with it, but a matter-of-fact walk and talk where the speaker has a microphone, maybe not, doesn't matter, but they're walking around the stage to start, and then they go into the crowd, and maybe they have visual aids, like the charts that we talked about, a couple of charts, couple of pictures. You know, stills are amazing. Like still images are an underappreciated art form. They're really powerful when they're done right, and you can edit them together now in Photoshop really easily and stuff. So I think creativity, they're doing well with the creativity this time. I give them credit.
Yeah.
They're bringing in a lot of what they have access to, but I still want it to be bolder.
Give it a bit more of like a performance aspect in a way, like a demonstration that's also performative in the sense that it's engaging, kind of like a sketch or a routine. Regardless, though, I actually did see some clips today, like comparing the roll calls of the DNC versus the RNC and just the night and day difference and whatnot. I mean, sure, like there's no way to actually cover that without like actually getting copyright struck, which is unfortunate. But it's just hilarious, like the contrast and the energy. Like that's how you do it. That's how you spice it up. Like the DNC actually did really good there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. They brought in like their creative resources, which is cool.
Yeah.
Still like to see more creativity in the communication, I guess, in terms of just everyone that's at a podium. I get sick of people at a podium, you know, it's just boring.
Right, no kidding.
Let's try.
I'm not doing this. Am I doing this? Let's see.
With a single mom, and she really...
Oh, man, heartstrings. No way. Let's see. Presidential general election. So we got to start to look at, the big news. that we got to talk about is RFK dropping out and endorsing Trump.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet.
Right.
Let's see if Fox News is covering it. But that was on mainstream media. That was on MSNBC earlier today. So it seems to me like it's confirmed. But nobody else has confirmed it, as best I can tell.
Yeah, he dropped out and apparently endorsed Trump. And I'm like, I mean, I think it will help him a little bit. I don't think it'll help him too much because we kind of saw when Biden dropped out and Hillary Harris got the the endorsement and whatnot. His numbers started to drop anyway. They went from like almost double digits to like cut in half, basically. So it's kind of hard to say like if that remaining group that was still gunning for Kennedy after with the past few weeks, if they actually will go and vote for Trump, because like they wouldn't go for RFK anyway, or I mean they wouldn't go for RFK Jr. if they weren't already going to sit out the election and just not vote for Trump. Some of them might, but some of them just might end up staying home or vote for the Libertarian Party. So it's hard to say, but I mean, it's just an endorsement. It's not like RFK Jr. is now Trump's VP or anything like that. And of course, they're not going to come out and say like what.
He's like, +4 in the Morning Consult one from 3 days ago.
Yeah, and Trump's not going to come out and say like, "Oh, here's what we're doing for RFK. This is the position he's going to have." More than likely, they're going to give him exactly what he was wanting.
That's so disgusting for a Kennedy to do this.
Oh my God!
I mean, being from New England, I feel like a little bit of I wouldn't say kinship, but their place on Cape Cod was not far from where my family had a place, and it just, you see pictures of them, the old school pictures of them on Cape Cod are like trippy for me.
Yeah.
And so I have this weird relationship with them. They're Irish Catholic though, they're not WASPs. And so we're
right.
neighbors. We're not really cousins, we're neighbors,
Sure. Sure.
And I think JFK and Bobby were really talented and well-meaning. JFK was really troubled, clearly, with that sex addiction of his.
Yeah.
And also the physical problems.
Right.
And Bobby may or may not have been the smartest, who knows. Both tragic endings. And so I think we defer to them being good people because of how they met their ends.
Yeah.
And that is obviously worn off. And
No,
I
of course.
was talking with some other people, like other than the Ginger Kennedy, Joe, I guess the third, or Joe the fourth.
What the fuck?
There aren't really any Kennedys in office anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
I gotta check up on that though.
And RFK is just like, just an anomaly of a person, for sure. So it's like
He's a freak.
he did want to get like a position as like what, the health minister or whatever under Trump. Like,
Yeah, Health and Human Services.
Something like that. Like
Who says you can't go home again?
whatever the hell, like pandemics or whatever.
After
Hey Megan, thanks for
watching the
joining.
Obamas last night, that was some epic fire, wasn't it? Some epic fire.
7:30. Okay,
We're
we got
now
a while.
so fired up. We can't wait to leave here and do something.
What was it last night? Like 9:15?
Yeah,
It's not
it
that
did-
bad actually.
it
Like an
ended
hour and
at-
45 minutes.
Yeah.
And what we're
We're
going to
good.
do is elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States.
But last night was Obama, so tonight will be shorter.
Yeah.
I am so honored to have been asked
Coach.
to speak on
Who's the-
tonight's theme
Oh, yeah,
about what
Walls is
matters
the final
most
speaker?
to me,
Yeah.
to you,
Excellent.
and all of us Americans.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, dude. I might tear up.
Yeah.
I hope he's not a real Zionist. I hope he's
There
just
are
like a
people who
Zionist because he
want
doesn't
you
really
to
understand
see our
it.
country
Right.
as a nation of us
I
against
feel like there's a
them.
lot of people like that who
People
just
who
kind of
wanna
defer to Israel
scare
because they don't
you,
understand that
who
issue.
want to rule you, people who'd have you believe that books are dangerous and assault rifles are safe, that there's a right way to worship and a wrong way to love. People who seek first to divide and then to conquer. But here's the thing. When we stand together, it is impossible to conquer us. In the words of an extraordinary American, the late Congressman John Lewis, he said, no matter what ship our ancestors arrived on, we are all in the same boat now. Congressman Lewis knew very well how far this country has come because he was one of the brilliant Americans who helped to get us where we are. But he also knew that the work is not done. The work will never be done because freedom isn't free. America is an ongoing project. It requires commitment. It requires being open to the hard work and the heart work of democracy. And every now and then, it requires standing up to life's bullies. I know this. I've lived in Mississippi, in Tennessee, in Wisconsin, Maryland, Indiana, Florida, Hawaii, Colorado, California, and California. And sweet home Chicago, Illinois.
And she's my neighbor.
Yeah?
Lives right down the street. Yep, right down the street, right down the highway.
No way.
I've actually
Yep.
traveled this country from the redwood forest. Love those redwoods.
Different part of town.
To the
It's actually a
Gulf Stream
different.
waters.
It's a village within
I've
the
seen
town that I live
racism
in.
And
Gotcha.
sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it. But more often than not, what I've witnessed and experienced are human beings, both conservative and liberal, who may not agree with each other, but who'd still help you in a heartbeat if you were in trouble. These are the people who make me proud to say that I am an American. They are the best of America. And despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. When a house is on fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race or religion. We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No. We just try to do the best we can to save them. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady,
That's funny. She's funny.
well, we try to get that cat out too. Because we are a country of people who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well, and we pray for peace. We know all the old tricks and tropes that are designed to distract us from what actually matters, but we are beyond ridiculous tweets and lies and foolery. These are complicated times, people, and they require adult conversation. And I welcome those conversations because civilized debate is vital to democracy, and it is the best of America.
Yeah,
He's got dude, the poor guy.
I feel
now,
it, dude.
over the last
Thanks for joining.
couple of nights, We have all seen brave people walk onto this stage and share their most private pain. Amanda and Josh,
So vulnerable.
Caitlin, Hadley, they told us their stories of rape and incest and near-death experiences
exactly what I want to hear
from
about.
having the state
I mean, I don't mean to
deny
be a
them
heartless
the
dick.
abortion that their doctor
It's just-
explained was medically necessary.
I mean,
And
it sucks
they
that we,
told us
if it
these
weren't for
things one
Republicans, we
reason,
wouldn't have to
and
be
that is
talking
to
about
keep
it,
what
right?
happened to
Exactly it.
them
It's just like a
from happening
reminder
to
to everybody,
anybody
like,
else. Because if
what's
you
at
do
stake
not have
and who
autonomy
did this to
over
us.
this,
Yeah.
over this, if you can
You got shitty luck, Prague.
and how you
Yeah, no
choose
kidding.
to bring your
Gosh.
children into this world and
Fucking
how they are
stupid
raised and
drivers.
supported, there is no American dream.
I can't deal with road rage, dude. It's just.
Speaking of abortion, Prague, Florida, Arizona, Montana, Nevada. Did you know all four of those had an
and
abortion on the
men
ballot?
Who are battling to keep us from going back to a
Big
time
deal.
of desperation and shame and stone cold fear. They are the new freedom fighters. And make no mistake, they are the best of America. I want to talk now about somebody who's not with us tonight. Tessie Prevost Williams
Oh, man.
was born in New Orleans.
Oh, Jesus.
Not long after the Supreme
Go to a
Court
friend's
ruled
house.
that
That's
segregated public schools
Starbucks.
were unconstitutional.
No, it's
That
too
was
late
in
there. It's
1954, same
9:38.
year I was
That's right,
born.
yeah.
But
What's
I
going
didn't
on?
have
Something's
to
clicking with you.
head to first grade at the all-white McDonough 19
The
school with a
microphone.
U.S. Marshal by my side like Tessie
Yeah,
did.
I'll let you know if it happens
And
again.
when I got to school, the building wasn't empty like it was for Tessie. You see, rather than allowing McDonough to be integrated, parents pulled their kids out of the school, leaving only Tessie and two other little black girls, Gail Etienne and Leona Tate, to sit in a classroom with the windows papered over to block snipers from attacking their 6-year-old bodies. Tessie passed away 6 weeks ago. And I tell this story to honor her tonight because she
This happened in America?
Yeah.
She, like Ruby Bridges and her friends, Leona and Gail, the New Orleans Four they were called. They broke barriers and they paid dearly for it. But it was the grace and guts and courage of women like Tessie Prevost Williams that paved the way for another young girl who 9 years later became part of the second class to integrate the public schools in Berkeley, California.
So this is talking about American history.
And it
right?
seems to me that at school and at home, somebody did a beautiful job of showing this young girl how to challenge the people at the top and empower the people at the bottom. They showed her how to look at the world and see not just what is, but what can be. They instilled in her a passion for justice and freedom and the glorious fighting spirit necessary to pursue that passion. And soon, and very soon, soon and very soon, we're going to be teaching our daughters and sons about how this child of an Indian mother and a Jamaican father, two idealistic, energetic immigrants,
Oprah just does it like few do.
how this child
She's very talented.
No, she is, yeah.
grew up to become the 47th president of the United States.
The ability to be yourself in front of a camera is very rare.
That is
And
the
she's had that
best
since
of
day one.
America.
And she even said that that was her superpower back in the day. She's like, they were like, what makes you so special that you get all this host, all these celebrities to come talk to you? And she's like, I'm just able to be myself in front of the camera. And so they trust me.
And be a billionaire.
You know,
Well,
You
but it was
know-
all built off of that skill.
Oh, no, yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell you this.
I mean, even nowadays, too.
this
but
election isn't
she's
about
70.
us and them. It's about you and me and what we want our futures to look like. There are choices to be made when we cast our ballot. Now, there's a certain candidate that says if we just go to the polls this one time, that we'll never have to do it again. Well, you know what?
I'm glad so
You're
many
looking
people
at
caught
a
on to
registered
that and
independent
understood what he was
who's
saying.
proud to vote again and again and again because I'm an American and that's what Americans do.
A registered independent. I wonder why that is.
Voting is the best of America.
That's what she said?
Yeah.
And I have always, since I was eligible to vote, I've always voted my values. And that is what is needed in this election now more than ever. So I'm calling on all you independents and all you undecideds.
No, you never
know
voted.
This is true.
First-time voters.
You know I'm telling you the truth, that values and character matter most of all.
That's one thing that can be spoken into existence is first-time voters. You could easily build a friend with the right candidate. You could easily build a frenzy of like, yo, dude, everyone's doing it.
You know this is true.
No, of course.
Decency
like
and
that.
respect are on the ballot in 2024.
Likely voters need to be tapped into for sure, or I mean, even unlikely voters, like unregistered voters,
and
potential voters.
Just plain common sense.
So far,
common
so good,
sense
though.
tells you that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz can give
Still
us
have Pete
decency
Buttigieg and Amy
respect.
Klobuchar to go, I think.
They're the ones that give it to us. So, we
So
are
everything's so
Americans.
archetypal.
Yeah, of
We are
course.
Americans. Let
It has
us
to be
choose
expected.
loyalty to the Constitution over loyalty to any individual. Because that's the best of America.
But
And let us
new
choose
voter registrations
optimism
are up across the
over
board
cynicism.
by a lot.
Because that's the best of America. And let
These
us
young
choose
kids have no.
inclusion
There's a lot of
over
them that are
retribution.
MAGA, man.
Let us choose common sense over
maybe.
nonsense.
I mean, it's possible, but like what I'm referring to
Because
is like the
that's the
spike that we
best
got
of America.
when Kamala got the endorsement.
And let us choose
Right.
the sweet promise of tomorrow over the bitter return to yesterday. We won't go back. We won't be set back, pushed back, bullied back, kicked back. We're not going back. Not going back.
Sync it up. Sync it up.
We're not going back. So, let us choose. Let us choose truth. Let us choose honor. And let us choose joy.
Or walk
Because
away.
that's the best of America. But more than anything else, let us choose freedom. Why? Because that's the best of America. We're all Americans, and together, let's all choose Kamala Harris.
I would have rather seen her walk off on joy. I would have rather seen her walk off on joy, but whatever. I start repeating myself.
She needs
Good
to
job,
start-
Oprah.
She needs to start pointing at random people, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Everybody gets a car.
I could use a new car. Who couldn't use a new car?
Right. I just want mine to be paid off already.
Here's what I want people to know about Tim
Oh yeah.
Walz.
Oh no, you get it on
everybody
just a
gets
down
to think
payment
of
on a
high
new
school
lease.
loved Tim Walz.
Yeah, I mean, Tim was
yeah.
jovial. When he would start teaching, it was
I'll
like
be,
full
right back and
contact
grab some
teaching.
water.
You could not
Sure.
help but be interested in what he was talking about.
He seemed to care about everybody in his class.
He knew everyone's name.
He wanted to know what interested you, how to engage you, what you were excited about, what you're feeling bad about.
Mr. Walz was my geography and social studies teacher.
Mr. Walz was my football coach.
coach.
My middle school basketball coach.
When we were doing the high school play The Nerd, he was the person building the sets.
I don't think that there has ever been a moment where I've seen Tim exhausted from giving or engaging. He always seems like that person that's got the never-ending gas tank who can keep going.
When I decided to come out as gay, we started the Gay Straight Alliance. Tim Walz was the faculty advisor.
We saw him not only as a teacher, but a mentor and a leader.
Mr. Walz was a really big part in helping build this community, and he's a big reason why I became a teacher myself. It was inspiring being in his classroom.
Please welcome Maryland Governor Wes Moore.
This guy's great.
Thank you. Thank you. On March 26th, at 1:30 in the morning, a container ship, the length of 3 football fields, slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore.
Sure did.
And the bridge collapsed. A port that drives 13% of our state's economy was now closed. Thousands of workers were hours away from waking up and realizing they no longer had a job. 6 Marylanders who had been on the bridge in the middle of the night fixing potholes lost their lives.
Is this Wes Moore?
And one of the first phone calls that I got that morning started with these 3 words. Gov, it's Kamala. She said, I know you spoke to the president, and I want you to know we are here with you every step of the way.
What is this in regards to?
The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse.
Now, I joined the Army when I was 17. In fact, I was too young to sign the paperwork. I had to ask my mom to sign the paperwork for me because I don't have bone spurs.
60 years ago almost, and it still comes back to haunt him.
I led soldiers in combat in Afghanistan. And my training taught me that you never learn anything about anybody when times are easy. You learn everything you need to know about somebody when times are hard and when the temperature gets turned up. And
Big
America, I saw that Kamala Harris is the right one to lead in this moment firsthand.
People under pressure reveal a lot about themselves.
Get them stressed, get them drunk, or
And
watch what they
united.
do with their money.
Yeah, it's one of your
The Almighty
diva
God's grace,
things. I forget which
we
one.
brought closure to the families of the 6 victims.
Number 1.
And while many said it could take 11 months to reopen the port of Baltimore, we got it done in 11 weeks.
He's only 46.
Young guy.
Because that is the story of America. We are a nation of patriots who serve when the mission is hard and who serve when the destination is uncertain. And I know our history is imperfect. The unevenness of the American journey has made some skeptical. But I'm not asking you to give up your skepticism. I just want that skepticism to be your companion and not your captor. And I'm asking that you join us in the work. Because making America great doesn't mean telling people you're not wanted. And loving your country does not mean lying about its history.
We'll be writing it.
Making America great means saying the ambitions of this country would be incomplete without your help. It's the legacy of those 6 workers who fixed potholes on a bridge while we slept, who were born in a different country, but who knew that America was big enough for them too.
Way to make use of a tragedy. And I mean that in a good way.
Right.
It's the journey of a man raised by a remarkable immigrant single mom, a man who felt handcuffs on his wrist at 11 years old, who now stands before you as the 63rd governor of Maryland and the first black governor in the history of our state.
Very nice. Well accomplished for sure. He's got a bright future for sure.
It's the story. It's the story of a prosecutor who defended our freedoms and had Maryland's back when we needed it most. And now, MVP, we've got your back as well. That's right. It's my fellow veteran, my brother, and the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz. And now, Tim knows that in the military, you count the days towards mission completion. So guess what, y'all? We have got 75 days and a wake-up until Election Day. 75 days in a wake-up for us to prove what Americans can do when the pressure is on. 75 days and a wake-up for us to show that true patriots do not whine and complain. We put our heads down and we get to work.
Trump?
75 days and a wake-up.
I know, right?
To build a future that those who came before us hope for, and those who come after us that they deserve. And 75 days and a wake-up to elect a leader who is willing to believe in the best of us, and that leader is Kamala Harris, the next president of the United States. Thank you, God bless you, and let's leave no one behind.
Pretty damn good, right? I told you he was very talented.
You're right. I like him a lot. He's really good.
I think he's pretty corporate, but he's a governor, so for a lot of reasons, governors can keep their hands a little cleaner than DC people.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Here it is. Oh, Big Pete.
Here he is.
The great gay hope. People have really come to like him. It's funny. He's stuck. He's hung in there. He's hung around. He's hung around. He's paid his dues. He's screwed up a lot, though, too. It's a funny thing.
Thank you, Chicago.
Early on, he screwed up, but I think he recovered since then. Like with the bridges.
I never thought I'd hear myself saying. I'm Pete Buttigieg, and you might recognize me from Fox News. I believe in going anywhere, in service of a good cause, and friends, we gather in a very good cause, electing Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the next president and vice president of the United States.
Oh, he's going to be the next Secretary of State. That's what he's going to get.
The choice could not be clearer.
Yeah, first gay
Donald
Secretary
Trump
of State.
rants
Yep.
about law
He's
and
paid
order,
his dues. That's what he's going to
as
get.
if he wasn't a convicted criminal running against a prosecutor.
What made you think about that now?
As if we were going to forget that crime was higher on his watch.
Here, I'll pause, actually.
Talks about the
He's very experienced in international, like, relationships, like, from his McKinsey days. So he's got the resume. He knows how to navigate cultures. Politically, it's a good story. political marketing, really. With first openly gay Secretary of State. It's an incredibly important job. He is speaking now, and a lot of others aren't. I mean, maybe Amy Klobuchar, but no. I mean, this guy, he's shown a lot of courage going on Fox News. So I think he's actually got a decent chance of a bigger office. I mean, that's everybody's dream cabinet position is Secretary of State.
Yeah, travel the world, talk to foreign leaders.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. God, it's my dream. It's my dream. And I only speak one language. I'm embarrassed. It's like, I wish I spoke like 3 languages. That's such an obvious was wow, that person's pretty smart if you speak 3 or 4 languages.
Right.
Forgotten man. Hoping we'll forget that the only economic promise that he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. And don't even get me started on his new running mate. At least Mike Pence was polite. J.D. Vance is one of those guys who thinks if you don't live the life that he has in mind for you,
this is
then
coming
you
from a
don't
gay
count.
guy talking about
Someone
like
who
the
said
gay
that if you don't have kids,
therapy
you have,
vice
quote,
president.
no physical commitment to the future of this country. You know, Senator, when I deployed to Afghanistan, I didn't have kids then. Many of the men and women who went outside the wire with me didn't have kids either. But let me tell you, our commitment to the future of this country was pretty damn physical.
What percentage of men and women in uniform see action?
Choosing a guy like J.D. Vance to be America's next vice president sends a message.
No.
And the message is that they are doubling down on negativity and grievance. Committing to a concept of campaigning best summed up in one word: darkness. Darkness is what they are selling. The thing is, I just don't believe that America today is in the market for darkness. I believe America is ready for a better kind of politics. Yes, politics at its worst can be ugly, crushing, demeaning, but it doesn't have to be. At its best, politics can be empowering, uplifting. It can even be a kind of soulcraft. My faith teaches me that the world isn't made up of good people and bad people, but rather that each of us is capable of good and bad things. And I believe leaders matter because of what they bring out in each of us, the good or the bad. Right now, the other side is appealing to what is smallest within you. They're telling you that greatness comes from going back to the past. They're telling you that anyone different from you is a threat. They're telling you that your neighbor or nephew or daughter who disagrees with you politically isn't just wrong, but is now the enemy.
Higher than you
I believe
think.
in a better politics, one that finds us at our most decent and open and brave.
15%.
The kind of politics that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are offering, and as you have felt these many days, that kind of politics
Have
also
either
feels
seen
better to
combat
be part
or
of.
were assigned a combat role.
There is joy in it, as well as power.
Oh, Megan,
And if all of that
it's
sounds
because we
naive,
sped up to 1.5
let me insist that I have
catch
come
up
to
with
this
the
view, not by way of idealism, but by
live
way of experience.
moment, I guess you could say.
Not just the experience
It's
of my
it's
unlikely
it's
career.
live now, so it's back.
Someone like me, serving in Indiana, serving in Washington, serving in uniform. I'm thinking of something much more basic. I'm thinking of dinner time at our house in Michigan. When the dog is barking and the air fryer
Drop
is
Michigan.
beeping and the mac and cheese is boiling over.
Yeah, even
and
though
it feels
he's
like
an
all
Indiana
the
guy.
political
I
negotiating
know.
experience in the
Right,
world
so,
is
I
not
mean,
enough
if it
for
plays
me to
into
get our 3-year-old son and our
the
3-year-old daughter to just wash their hands and sit at the table. It's the part of our day when politics seems the most distant. And yet the makeup of our kitchen table, the existence of my family, is just one example of something that was literally impossible as recently as 25 years ago when an anxious teenager growing up in Indiana wondered if he would ever find belonging in this world. This kind of life went from impossible to possible, from possible to real, from real to almost ordinary in less than half a lifetime.
Meg was like, Lamau, I was confused. Why? I was like, why was he?
That didn't
he sound like
just
Ben
happen.
Shapiro on coke.
It was brought
No, that was
about
why.
through idealism and courage, through organizing
Probably
and
should have just done 1
persuasion
1/4.
and storytelling, and yes, through politics, the right
fine with either
kind
one,
of
honestly.
politics. The kind of politics that can make an impossible dream into an everyday reality. I don't presume to know what it's like in your kitchen, but I know, as sure as I am standing here, that everything in it, the bills you pay at that table, the shape of the family that sits there, the fears and the dreams that you talk about late into the night there, all of it compels us to demand more from our politics than a rerun of some TV wrestling death match.
Yeah. Embarrassing on behalf
So
of...
this November, we get to choose. We get to choose our president. We get to choose our policies, but most of all, we will choose a better politics. A politics that calls us to our better selves and offers us a better everyday. That is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz represents. That is what Democrats represent. That is what awaits us when America decides to end Trump's politics of darkness once and for all. That is what we choose when we embrace the leaders who are out there building bridges and reject the ones who are out there banning books. This is what we will work for every day to November and beyond. So let's go win this. Thank you, Democrats.
That's good.
Well done. He got rid of the Obama thing.
Yeah,
He was guilty of that for a little while.
Yeah, he's really coming to his own, like him and Kamala, like since the 2020.
Tell you, man, it's talent development. They got put on the burner, and they had all this free time, and they're like, I'm going to work on my game.
And becoming governor. I see the guy that was a first sergeant. I see a guy that's full of energy, always busy, and like he says, you get enough time to sleep when you're dead.
I first met Governor Walz and Congressman Walz when I was transitioning out of the Marine Corps, going back to school. He really wanted to know what the experience was of those that were actually using the GI Bill and how it could be improved. It seemed to be a continuation of focus on improving the lives of veterans.
Governor Walz in our unit always would say his catchphrase was, "We'll get it done," and we always did.
The way I've seen him carry himself over the years in Congress and the way he works for veterans, there's no excuse making, there's no scapegoating, it's just accomplish the mission.
Governor Walz has been that way and always will be that way.
Having Governor Walz on the House Veteran Affairs Committee was instrumental in getting the post-9/11 GI Bill not only introduced, but also passed.
When Governor Walz wants change, it'll happen. Back to the Guard. We'll get it done.
Please welcome EGOT-winning, multi-platinum artist and activist, John Legend, and Queen of Percussion, Sheila E.
Okay. Let's take a look at those polls. Let's do it,
You get a low performance? Oh, John Legend, wow. Did Oprah finally cure the aging? What the fuck? Must have gotten a hold of that thing that they've been giving to dogs to reverse aging.
So no one's talking about the protests. I saw on Status Quo today they were covering it, but I didn't see anything on mainstream media.
Right. I saw Mehdi Hassan repost something about they almost had someone from Uncommitted go up there to talk about Palestine and Gaza.
All right, let's take a look at the latest polls for president. And let's try Arizona. Arizona. Focal data, not terribly reliable. Still got Trump in the... Trump only up by 1 in most of these.
It's still the latest.
New York Siena had Harris up, though. I'm inclined to trust New York Siena. Yeah. Everyone who's a conservative commentator obviously bullshits you about the polls. And the way you get them is you say, wait a second, do you honestly think New York Times isn't learning from its mistakes? Do you not think these models are getting more sophisticated and better at, adjusting for the imperfections you talk about. All right, so Georgia, Trump up big in Georgia. New York Times Siena has Trump up big. Damn, I didn't know it was that big. Oh, that was 5-way too. We'll see what happens with RFK dropping out. I still haven't seen that. He'll probably announce that on Friday or something, so he doesn't do it during. Maybe he'll do it tomorrow during Kamala's acceptance speech or something.
Yeah.
Georgia, Arizona. Let's see, Nevada. Why not? It's right here. Nevada, she should be looking better. Yeah, Harris is up better, but focal data. See, that's the thing is these polls are all over the place. And the only way to go is to commit to a handful of polls that you actually trust. And do you think things have changed in Nevada since August 15th? I don't know if they have.
Right.
This new announcement on policy was interesting, these anti-price gouging efforts that she wants to make.
Yeah. I'm really...
You want to talk about those for a second?
Really hopeful about those, and they just can't help be misrepresented by not just the right, but the corporate media establishment as well. It's making them a little bit nervous because it's like, oh wow, like centralized control over preventing corporations from jacking up their prices, because like it is like pretty much an undeniable, like indisputable fact that like a lot of inflation the past year or so has been driven by corporate greed and the fixing of prices, like price gouging, like period. It's to the point where like if you're reporting like continuously record profits after record profits every single quarter, but you're still like keeping prices as high as possible, and inflation has gone down to the point where like it's lower than it was pre-March 2021, you're price gouging. It's corporate greed. It's greedflation, as the catch-all term at this point. So to see something actually done even more about that is promising, but I would like to know a lot more specifics. Oh God, I never.
What, you don't like Amy?
I never liked Amy. God, it's interesting as a bowl of oatmeal.
How are we doing tonight?
Hey, that was a warm-up act. On behalf of the great
She's
state
an awful
of
person
Minnesota,
too. I've heard all sorts of terrible things about her.
where purple reigns,
Jesus Christ.
I stand before you in support of our next Vice President, Tim Walz.
Is she hammered?
I wouldn't be surprised.
She had a few cocktails?
In Minnesota, we
Yeah.
trust a coach who turned a team that was
Probably
0
put wine
and
in her salad
27
dressing that she
into
ate with a
state
comb.
champions. In Minnesota, we trust a hunter who has stood in a deer stand in 10-degree weather. In Minnesota, we trust a candidate who has made a viral video on how to change a burnt-out headlight. And I know we aren't alone, but in Minnesota, we love a dad in plaid.
Oh, Jesus.
God.
So Tim and I go way back. He taught high school right down the road from where my husband John grew up. My mother-in-law even brought him and Gwen a Parmesan chicken dinner when their son was born. That's what we do in America. We look out for our neighbors.
Yeah, I know.
Tim has been doing that his whole life. On the farm and in the factory.
She had to finish it off, but like what a
and
weird
his
way.
fellow service members. And the truth is, that matters.
I was just thinking it too. I was like, are you
That's
sure?
all right. Like,
Who better
it's kind of
to take on the
specific.
price
Like
of
It kind of
gas
depends on where
than
you
a
are.
guy who
Yeah,
pulled over
yeah.
To help change your tire. Who better
Man.
to serve our nation than a guy who has served in uniform?
Enough. God, they're toting
Who
his.
better
It's like it's
to
not like he
find
saw
common
action.
ground than a guy with Midwestern common sense? A former football coach knows how to level the playing field. And a former public school teacher knows how to school the likes of J.D. Vance.
Let's hope so.
What you've done with your life matters, and what you do with power matters too. Tim has delivered paid leave, school lunches, and the biggest tax cut in Minnesota history. A Democrat from a red district in a purple state, Tim has brought Minnesota together. And together with Vice President Kamala Harris, I know he will do the same for our nation.
I bring him up
America,
to introduce him.
there is so much that we share, so much that connects us. Way up north in Minnesota, out of Lake Itasca, flows the Mississippi River. It starts small and it grows wider.
Oh, who gives a fuck?
It flows down to Wisconsin
Yeah.
and to Iowa. It goes down
Not so
to
loud.
Illinois and to Missouri.
We know.
It goes to Kentucky
That's right.
and
It does.
Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
It goes to Arkansas.
Does it go to
And
Mississippi?
it goes way down to Mississippi.
Okay. Does it go down
And
to
then it
Louisiana?
goes all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay. All right. I'm nailing this.
Of our nation's resilience
What do I win?
abounds.
God.
So let us commit
Fuck.
here and now to cross the river of our divides to get to a higher ground. And let
I
us
swear,
join
just
together
kill me with
to
the cliches,
elect
I
Kamala
swear.
Harris and Tim Walz.
Yes, just bring him on.
Bye. Get off.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a trillion times
Yes,
more fucking
get the
interesting than you are.
fuck off.
Jesus Christ.
I think I might start swearing more on this YouTube channel. Oh, here we go. We got some love. Trump is a convicted felon
Please
awaiting
welcome
sentencing in
Ben
September
Inman from Minnesota.
and facing 3 more trials and guilty of business fraud and sexually abusing women.
That's
Yeah, that's going to be the cherry on top if we win. Is we're going to see we're going to test the validity and the true strength of that immunity ruling.
Yeah, because there's
gonna be
still-
very
there's
interesting.
Still cases awaiting him after the election's over, because like some of them have been delayed indefinitely.
Oh, God.
But yeah.
Who's this asshole? Who is this guy?
From
From Minnesota?
Said something
Tim
about
Walz
being from
is the
Minnesota,
kind of
yeah.
guy you can count on
He has a horrible
to push
smile.
you
Check
out
it
of
out.
a snowbank. I know
He looks
this
like Rob Stark.
because Tim Walz has pushed me out of a snowbank. I grew up next door to the Walzes in Mankato.
He looks
Mr.
like a
Walz
mix between
was also
Rob
my
Stark
geography
and
teacher
David Dole.
and my coach. Not for high school football, but for 7th grade basketball and track.
David Dull, the Canuck.
So what was the
Mhm.
high school football coach doing, coaching 7th grade basketball and track? Well, there was a kid in the high school who couldn't afford to pay for lunch, and he ran up a lot of debt. And Tim and Gwen decided they'd help pay it off. They started calling around the district to see if there were any positions they could fill to make a little extra money, and that's how he wound up coaching us 7th graders.
All right, let's speed
That's
this
right.
up.
Coach Walz got us excited about what we might achieve together. He believed in us, and he helped us believe in each other. And his leadership stuck. That track team went on to win a state title, just like the football team. That's right.
It's about winning.
Speaking of which, come on out, Scarlets. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. They're all like the best players or whatever from over the years. That's cool. That's really cool. I wonder how many of them are MAGA.
Well, I mean,
none of them that are here tonight, that's for sure. Yeah. Athletes have a bad reputation of being conservative assholes. Because they're obsessed with competition, they can't understand people who don't prioritize competition.
Right.
That is right.
You know, all this got me thinking about the kinds of leaders we need. We want the people in charge to be genuine, compassionate, and trustworthy. The thing is, there are people in our neighborhoods who fit this description. The kind of people who display quiet leadership by helping kids pay for their lunches, by bringing teams together to believe in each other. And when we're stuck in the snow, they push us out. Well, in my neighborhood, we always wish that people like that would run for office. Well, in my neighborhood, someone like that did run for office. And he's going to be a wonderful vice president. Thanks very much.
Don't clap for yourself. All those of you out there, public speaking engagements, you look amazing if you don't clap yourself.
In the wide open spaces.
I think he's clapping for Waltz as he.
No, I know. Everybody does it. It's
right,
not that
right.
big of a. It's not that big of a sin. It's just if you're more like.
Out here.
If you can
in the
express yourself
wide
without clapping
we are
for
reminded
yourself,
of the
it
values
just
we
looks better.
share.
Sure.
A commitment to community.
It's one of those things like people who hold
country,
their hands like
and
this when they're
standing up
speaking.
for what's right.
This? No.
Tim Walz
Yeah,
grew up in a
yeah.
small
No.
town
This?
in Nebraska,
Right.
where he
This?
spent summers working
This?
the family
There's a
farm.
million things you
There
can
were
do.
just 24
I saw some guy do
students
this
in his
recently.
graduating class.
He
His
pulled this
dad
off.
served during the
He pulled-
Korean War,
I can't pull
and
that
that
off.
meant a lot to Tim.
Right.
So he enlisted right after his 17th birthday and served 24 years in the National Guard, rising to Command Sergeant Major. Tim went to college on the GI Bill and became a social studies teacher. That's where Tim and I met. We shared a classroom with a divider right down the middle. His classroom was a lot louder than mine, but I could hear how engaged his students were. Tim taught for over 15 years, and he coached football, helping lead the team to a state championship after 0 wins just a few years before. Tim taught them how to believe in themselves and that we're all in this together. When one of our students started the school's Gay Straight Alliance, Tim agreed to serve as faculty advisor because he knew how impactful it would be to have a football coach involved.
That's
He
I
inspired
love
his
that about him.
students, and he changed lives.
He is just so joyful in everything that he does, but I think also standing up for, what he believes to be right, stands up to bullies.
Then, Tim's students inspired him to run for Congress in southern
Yeah,
Minnesota.
that's the best part.
Tim spent a lot of time working with Republicans, fighting to help farmers and expanding veterans' benefits. Whether it was in Congress or as governor, his focus has always been helping working people like those he grew up with. That's why he fought for the largest tax cut in Minnesota state history.
But Tim Walz was there for small businesses like ours.
With the urging of Governor Walz, we were able to pass the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, and it has saved lives in Minnesota.
With Tim as governor, Minnesota is one of the best places to raise a family and one of the best states for business. Tim's a lifelong hunter and gun owner. But after the Sandy Hook school shooting, he knew that we had to do something. So he's fought for background checks and red flag laws. But of all the things he's done, Tim loves being a dad. We struggled to have kids, and fertility treatments made it possible. There's a reason our daughter is named Hope. Hope and Gus mean the world to us.
Governor Walz making good on a promise to his son and family yesterday by getting them a puppy.
Then we're gonna go get some food, corn dog,
I'm vegetarian.
turkey then, and then,
Turkey's meat.
not in Minnesota, turkey special.
He's as at home on a farm, a fishing boat, a football field, or a
dad
factory
vibes.
floor as he is on the floor of Congress. Tim's commitment to service all comes back to the values we grew up with. Love your country, help your neighbor, and fight for what's right. Because that's what America is all about.
2 middle-class kids. One, a daughter of Oakland, California. The other, a son of the Nebraska Plains, only in America. Is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House?
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Kind of typical to come out with Small Town by John Mellencamp, but
hell of an artist.
Hits it on the head. Like, that's Americana right there, and it plays well. Hell yeah. This right here is Kamala Harris's best decision she's ever made.
Yeah, this was a huge decision. Can you imagine if this was Shapiro? Screw that.
Yeah, that would have been a huge screw up.
Bashir would have been disappointing too. This is totally the right call.
No,
she went with her instincts. She's got good instincts with people. She's got some kind of talent.
Oh, big time.
Right? Like I think her talent is reading people and understanding how how authentic, whether or not they're telling the truth, right? She's an interrogator, so.
Yeah, I would actually love to
Thank you, first of
interact
all,
with her at some point.
to Vice President
It's never
Harris.
gonna happen, but
Thanks for putting your trust in me and for inviting me
read on one
to be
another.
part of this incredible campaign. And a thank you to President Joe Biden for 4 years of strong, historic leadership.
His wife's a floater.
It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States. We're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country. So thank you to all of you here in Chicago and all of you watching at home tonight. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your determination. And most of all, thank you for bringing the joy to this fight.
I'm so happy this year.
Now, I grew up in Butte, Nebraska, a town of 400 people. I had 24 kids in my high school class, and none of them went to Yale. But I'll tell you what, growing up in a small town like that, you learn how to take care of each other. That family down the road, they may not think like you do. They may not pray like you do. They may not love like you do. But they're your neighbors. And you look out for them. And they look out for you.
Megan says super wholesome
Everybody
kids.
belongs.
Totally agree.
And everybody has a responsibility to contribute. For me, it was serving in the Army National Guard. I joined up 2 days after my 17th birthday, and I proudly wore our nation's uniform for 24 years. My dad, a Korean War era Army veteran, died of lung cancer a couple years later. He left behind a mountain of medical debt. Thank God for Social Security survivor benefits. And thank God for the GI Bill that allowed my dad and me to go to college, and millions of other Americans.
Completely agree, Megan.
Eventually, like the rest of my family, I fell in love with teaching.
What'd she say? I can't see.
Son asking daughter how she feels about
3
her
out of
speech.
4 of us
She's
married
fully supportive,
teachers.
and he walks in like, well, I worked really hard, but I hope I can
wound
give
up
a good delivery.
teaching
May have been
social
scripted, but-
studies,
'cause weird
and
cuts
coaching
and stuff, but
football
cute overall.
at Mankato West High School.
Yeah, no, everything
Go
about
Scarlets!
Waltz in general feels super authentic. Like
We ran a
without
44 defense. We played through to the whistle on every single play, and we even won a
that's how
state
you do it.
championship.
You don't stop running. You don't stop going until you hear the
Never
whistle.
closed the yearbook, people. But it was those players and my
Yeah,
students
play to the whistle. I like
who
that.
inspired me to
Yeah.
run for Congress.
I
They
played
saw in
football
me
in high school.
what I had hoped
I know
to
I was,
instill in
yeah.
them, a commitment
No,
to
but
the
I'm saying
common
like
good.
the score matters,
an
like punch past the
understanding
target, like that
we're
kind of thing.
all in this
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And the belief that a single person can make a real difference for their neighbors. So there I was, a 40-something high school teacher with little kids, zero political experience, and no money, running in a deep red district. But you know what? Never underestimate a public school teacher. Never. I represented my neighbors in Congress for 12 years, and I learned an awful lot. I learned how to work across the aisle on issues like growing the rural economies and taking care of veterans. And I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. Then I came back to serve as governor, and we got right to work, making a difference in our neighbors' lives. We cut taxes for the middle class. We passed paid family and medical leave. We invested in fighting crime and affordable housing. We cut the cost of prescription drugs and helped people escape the kind of medical debt that nearly sank my family. And we made sure that every kid in our state gets breakfast and lunch every day. So while other states were banning books from their schools, we were banishing hunger from ours. We also protected reproductive freedom because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. And that includes
Sound like an echo on
IVF
my
and
end. You both
fertility
said it at the
treatments.
exact same time.
And this is personal for Gwen and I. If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you, you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night for a phone call. The pit in your stomach when the phone would ring, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you.
That's gonna be a meme.
I'm letting you in.
That's getting meme.
That is
on how
gonna
we
be
started a
meme.
family.
That is a wholesome moment
Because
right there,
this
though.
is
I
a
love
big
that.
part about what this election is about. Freedom. When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations, free to pollute your air and water. And banks, free to take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
Yeah. Thank God somebody finally
Look,
fucking said it in prime time.
I know guns.
Yes.
I'm a veteran. I'm a hunter. And I was a better shot than most Republicans in Congress, and I got the trophies to prove it. But I'm also a dad. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also believe our first responsibility is to keep our kids safe.
That camo Harris Waltz hat that we just saw, those sold out like immediately. So
That's
those are
what
kinda
this is
rare.
all about. The
That is a good-
responsibility
that's a good
we
sign.
have
Yeah.
to our kids, to each other, and to the future that we're building together, in which everyone
I will
is
not be
free
buying
to
one.
build the kind of life they want.
I've considered it.
But not everyone
Not my
has
style.
that same sense of
Right.
responsibility.
Still
do
considering,
camo.
Some
still
folks just
considering
don't
whether or not to get
understand
like
what it takes to be a good
Harris
neighbor.
Waltz bumper sticker.
Take Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Their Project 2025 will make things much, much harder for people who are just trying to live their lives. They spent a lot of time pretending they know nothing about this.
Why isn't
But
this
look,
guy heading the
I
ticket,
coached
for
high
fuck's
school
sake?
football long enough to know, and trust me on this. When somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it. And we know if these guys get back in the White House, they'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class. They'll repeal the Affordable Care Act. They'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And they will ban abortion across this country, with or without Congress. Here's the thing. It's an agenda nobody asked for. It's an agenda that serves nobody except the richest and the most extreme amongst us. And it's an agenda that does nothing for our neighbors in need. Is it weird? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also wrong. And it's dangerous. It's not just me saying so. It's Trump's own people. They were with him for 4 years. They're warning us that the next 4 years will be much, much worse. You know, when I was teaching every year, we'd elect a student body president.
What's going on?
And you know what? Those teenagers could teach Donald Trump a hell of a lot about what a leader is. Leaders don't spend all day insulting people and blaming others. Leaders do the work. So I don't know about you. I'm ready to turn the page on these guys. So go ahead. Say it with me. We're not going back.
Sounds
We've
good to me.
got something better to offer the American people. It starts with our candidate, Kamala Harris. From her first
It's
day
his
as a prosecutor,
modesty,
as a district attorney, as an
humbleness.
attorney general, as a United
Humility.
States senator,
It's all
and then
about
our vice
Harris.
president, she's fought on the side of the American people.
Getting
She's
her in
taken on the
office.
predators and fraudsters. She's taken down the transnational gangs, and she stood up to powerful corporate interests. She has never hesitated to reach across that aisle if it meant improving your lives. And she's always done it with energy, with passion, and with joy. Folks, we've got a chance to make Kamala Harris the next president of the United States.
And straight.
But I think we owe it to the American people to tell them exactly what she'd do as president before we ask them for their votes. So here, this is the part, clip and save it and send it to your undecided relatives so they know. If you're a middle-class family or a family trying to get into the middle class, Kamala Harris is going to cut your taxes. If you're getting squeezed by prescription drug prices, Kamala Harris is going to take on Big Pharma. If you're hoping to buy a home, Kamala Harris is going to help make it more affordable.
I'm looking forward to that.
And no matter who you are, Kamala Harris is going to stand up and fight for your freedom to live the life that you want to lead. because that's what we want for ourselves, and it's what we want for our neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, you might not know it, but I
forward to
haven't
so much
given
of
a
that.
lot of big speeches like this. But I have given a lot of pep talks. So let me finish with this, team. It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field.
Here we go.
And
This is what I
boy, do
wanted.
we have the right team.
This is
Kamala
exactly
Harris
what we've
is
been
tough.
wanting.
Kamala Harris
kind
is
of metaphors.
experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready. Our job for everyone watching is to get in the trenches and do the blocking and tackling. 1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time,
One
one
vote.
phone call at a time, 1 door knock at a time, 1 $5 donation at a time.
Appealing to the progressives,
Look,
younger
we
voters.
got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field. That's how we'll keep moving forward.
You could
That's
just sleep
how
on
we'll turn
November
the page
6th.
on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom. That's how we make America a place where no child is left hungry, where no community is left behind, where nobody gets told they don't belong. That's how we're gonna fight. And as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, thank you. God bless.
Energy. Yes. Fucking
Nice
perfect.
and short too. It was really concise, really short.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we'd get another couple of minutes.
Yeah, I wonder
That was
if,
great.
like, yeah, no, he said all he needed to say and, like, came through with flying colors, brought the energy and everything. Like,
Oh, I gotta.
No,
show this.
of course, yeah. That might be it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it on for a minute.
Thank fuck. Very, very encouraging.
The second family.
That's right. Future second family.
Look at the kid. The son's loving it.
Yeah.
The son's loving it, man. Look at the son. Look at the son. He's absolutely loving this. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's gonna have fun with it, it should be the kids. They're gonna have to bear the brunt of Secret Service details.
Of course, yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Fox News is gonna be all over that kid.
Right. Because of course they are.
Oh, let's. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna check. Do you have anything you want to say? Why don't you start? Do you want to monologue for a minute?
I mean, reiterating what I've been saying, since Walz was picked and we first saw him at the initial rally, I'm just blown away that the Democrats not only grew a spine, but reinforced their spine and are just going in full offense, hitting the ground running, just full steam ahead, and it just the momentum is entirely on their side, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get a boost after this. Just at least a continuation of the momentum. Like, how dare they subvert my expectations by making the right fucking decisions? Are they? What? Fox News
is now the vice presidential candidate. It was a formality accepting the nomination tonight. This is a huge night for Governor Walz. I mean, think about the fact that the
Fox
sequence
News
of
is
events
at
that have
there.
happened
They must
over
get
the
so many
last 2
dirty
months,
looks.
nobody could have anticipated. If it weren't for the June 27th debate, Tim Walz would not be standing here on this stage tonight. He did well. He was very coachy. Everybody's holding Coach Walz signs. He talked about how he peps up his team, mostly about being a good neighbor. That's a lot of his focus is on feeling and relationships and treating each other well.
Yeah, and he says neighbors need to mind their own business. Republicans would point to his effort as governor in Minnesota, telling people to snitch on their neighbors if they got out of their house. I mean, that's what Republican criticism is.
What the hell are you talking
he said that
about, bro?
the Democrats in this all have to do the blocking and tackling
Talking
in
about
order
COVID.
for this ticket to win in November. He pointed to that he's a veteran, he knows guns, he's a hunter, and he said, I was a better shot than most of the Republicans in Congress, and I have the trophies to prove it.
That's right,
One of
baby.
the interesting
Yes,
or at
bring
least
that up.
notable
Let your
things as you
audience
see
hear
his
it.
wife clapping and his family on the
Injected into
stage
my
was
veins.
his son Gus, overcome with emotion, pointing at the stage saying, that's my dad, that's my dad. And I think that's
gonna get him some
proud
votes.
son that
He got
clearly
Daddy some votes.
excited about this moment. Let's go around the horn. Dana, your
Needs to
thoughts
fix
first?
his kid needs to fix his tie though.
Was
He's
delightful.
wearing like sneakers.
And lovely, and it's like that's my dad, and that so that was great.
This is gonna
I said
play
earlier
into,
tonight he had to do fine,
some of the
and that would be
Fox News
enough.
audience.
He did
Even
great
Fox News
for
is
him,
saying,
for their
"Wow, that was
job."
quite a moment."
And I even followed the football metaphors if that was good enough. He'll be a great wingman for Kamala Harris. And he set her up very nicely for tomorrow. There are a couple of things that I would say, what are you talking about? You mentioned one. We had a grandmother on the other day who got jailed in Minnesota for opening up her coffee shop because she was going to lose her livelihood, and her business and her family was in danger. Jail for 60 days, and she has very strong feelings about that. The other thing is he started off by saying, I didn't go to Yale, as if that's some diss on J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance wasn't a legacy at Yale. He worked his way up. Somebody that I would imagine that Tim Walz, had he been able to teach somebody like J.D. Vance, he would have been very proud of him as a young man who introduced Tim Walz.
Of course they say that shit.
How much of the Fox
dynamic
News
between the two of them is
audience
going to be
went
strange
to
because I think a lot of
Yale?
things that J.D. Vance accomplished, even if he doesn't agree
How
with
many of them even know where
things that he
Yale is? Like, come
Well,
on.
it's all they got with JD Vance though. It's like, oh, he must be really smart.
try to encourage in students that he says that he wants to help that are disadvantaged. Maybe it's that they needed free lunches, free breakfast, all of those things.
It's not like
a
he
lot
had a
of
silver
free.
spoon.
Absolutely
A lot
not.
of
He has
free.
mama, and she raised him well and got him to focus on doing his math, which brings up this issue of watching those two men debate, Britt, which we're going to get an opportunity to see J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, go head to head. It'll be a moment.
It will be. And I must say, just to add to what Dana just said.
Hold on, I might be related to this guy. So you see his last name?
And Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, go head to head. It'll be a moment.
It will be. And I must say,
So, okay. So I don't know. This is good to do when we don't have much of a following. But so this guy's name is Britt Hume, and you've probably seen him before.
Yeah.
And he comes, if he's related to me, he comes from this really old Virginia family that has a history of influence in conservative circles in America. And for whatever reason, they're like a big deal in Virginia. And so he's kind of another reason, that name is another reason why if I had gone into politics on the conservative side, I probably would be Trump's running mate right now. I mean, I knew so many people, dude, like growing up sailing with guys who worked for the Reagan, like it was just ridiculous. My knowledge of the conservative elite is as good as anyone's that's on the left.
Right, yeah.
our other speakers, to wit, the Obamas, both of them went to Harvard Law School. Went to Princeton. I guess he went to Yale.
Columbia. And Mayor Pete.
And Mayor Pete. And the idea that, and of course, J.D. Vance, he said he went to school on the GI Bill, so did Vance. So,
That's what they're talking about?
I think that's an empty line of attack. But I thought what we had here was a vice presidential candidate doing what vice
If that's what they're
presidential
criticizing, he
candidates
did well.
Stick up for the ticket, attack the opponents, be the one that lands the blows. And so, the one thing I have to say, many years ago, when I was a much younger man, I helped coach my son's basketball team. If I had had any idea in those days how much mileage you could get out of being an assistant coach in a high school football team, I'd be benefiting myself as coach too. It seems to be working for him.
And we want to apologize because Peter Doocy had Governor Walz on his investigation.
He did.
It was Coach Walz. Robert, what do you think?
Well, I played Ivy League football. Actually, Penn beat Yale in the championship, I think, back then. But I would play for this guy. I'd love to play for him. And Martha knows he wasn't my top two choice. I thought it should be Shapiro Kelly. I really didn't know this guy. But over the last few weeks, Tim Walz, I love the guy. He just has a great spirit. And I think he left it on the field. I think what Dana said, he did better than what anyone thought. And I thought it was fun and enjoyable.
He's authentic, dude.
kept it under midnight, Harold.
He wins the night. For, if nothing more, he was 15 or 16 minutes speaking, and he crammed so much.
Yep.
Let me give you 3 points. First,
Yeah,
I remember
like,
Dennis said
he
he made it fine. He did a fine job. First, he listed accomplishments as a governor. He talked about cutting taxes for the middle class. He talked about creating affordable housing opportunities, paid family and medical leave, and free breakfast and lunches for children in schools. These are things that governors are able to talk about, executives are able to talk about, and hopefully what it suggests is that maybe Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, will talk about some issues, talk about some specific things that she wants to do. 2, he loves this country. Carl said earlier, you don't normally see USA signs, go USA signs at Democratic conventions, and a kind of patriotism that's imparted from this place. It was a wonderful thing. And finally, he connected on 3 other things. Fertility treatments. Said, mind your own damn business. He said, we all should have the freedom to make our lives better for ourselves. I like this guy. Okay. I like this guy.
Wow. I'm glad we tuned in to Fox News.
Dude, yeah.
Let's bring in Republican Vice Presidential nominee, Senator J.D. Vance. Senator,
Oh, here we go.
Your thoughts? Did you hear the
All of a
speech? What do you
sudden,
think?
Well, look, my response to this is they cannot say that Kamala Harris has lowered your grocery prices because she hasn't. They can't say that Kamala Harris has lowered the price of housing because she hasn't. They can't say
that's
that
what they're
Kamala Harris has
going
secured the
to
border
do.
because she's opened the border. What they can say, Brett, and what so many of the speakers did, including Tim Walz, is basically say that if you want a better life for your children, if you want to vote for Donald Trump to change the direction of this country, you're a bad person. And I think that's just a fundamental message that falls flat for Americans
He actually
who have
said
suffered under the
that you
policies
shouldn't
of Kamala Harris.
shame them.
Where is the vision? Where
Which
is
I
where are the
disagree with.
details? Where can they say that Kamala Harris's record has actually made your life better as an American citizen? Because they can't do that, I thought it was actually a very dark and ominous tone where they attacked Donald Trump and they attacked the people who voted
Well,
for him.
he's a
rather
convicted
than offer
criminal,
a
so
compelling
why would-
vision for
why
the
would we
future.
not
So
attack him?
It fell flat to my ears. Of course, the American people will make the ultimate decision.
Senator Vance, Martha McCallum here. So, one of the most fundamental responsibilities of a vice president is that you're one heartbeat away from the presidency. It's a very serious responsibility. What do you think you heard tonight in terms of Governor Walz's ability to step into that Oval Office?
Well, I didn't hear much on that account, Martha. I mean, what I heard was a guy who was trying to defend Kamala Harris, and importantly, he talked a lot, Martha, about Kamala Harris's vision.
Yeah, he's
for
going to make
the
it all
things
about
that
Kamala.
she would do to lower the cost of this or that.
He's going to
And
redirect
I kept
to her.
on wanting him to say, this is what she's already done, because it's one thing to promise things in the future, but when you're defending the sitting vice president of the United States, day one of her administration is not 6 months from now. Day one of her administration was 1,300 days ago, and she hasn't done anything. It's been her policies that have actually caused so many of the problems. So these people can't get up there and offer all these promises and the vision for the future. They need to be able to say, we did this thing and it made your life better. And because they can't say that, it's a lot of rhetoric and a lot of generalized promises about the future.
did
But
that.
that's not going to help the American people afford groceries or housing. In fact, Kamala Harris's policies have done the exact opposite.
Yeah, Senator, there was one point where
do you
Governor Walz
expect him
said
to say?
that you all have a playbook, and he depicted what you and your ticket, the former president and you, are going to do. And he got specific. Here it is.
I coached high school football long enough to know, and trust me on this, when somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it.
Are they going to even drop the name?
And
Are
we
they going to
know
even hear it? Hold on.
If these guys
I want to
get
know
back
if we
in the
hear
White
it.
House, they'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class.
Project
They'll
2025. Are they going to say
repeal
it?
the Affordable Care Act. They'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And they will ban abortion across this country, with or without Congress.
Okay, so
No
will you
Project
jack up the cost on
2025.
the middle class?
They won't say the name.
Will you do all of the
Brett,
list
the
of things
amnesia-
that...
Fox News won't allow it. Yeah, they're not going to allow it.
No, Brett, of course not. The amnesia required to utter those words from Tim Walz. When Donald Trump was president, prices for the middle class were the lowest they had been. Wages were rising. The border was secure. It's so preposterous to say that Donald Trump is going to jack prices
was
up
not secure.
on the middle
Border
class. When
crossings
he
were
was
higher
president,
over,
the middle class had the best rising take-home pay that they've had in a generation in this country. And again, it just highlights the extraordinary contrast. Donald Trump can point to 4 years of successful leadership and say, I delivered rising prices, rising wages for American workers, rather I delivered rising take-home pay, and I delivered a secure border. These guys are accusing Donald Trump of doing what Kamala Harris has actually done during her 3.5 years as vice president. I think the American people are way too smart to buy it.
Okay, but the other two things. Will you ban Affordable Care Act?
No, in fact, Brett, as you know, when Donald Trump was president, he fought to deliver higher quality, lower cost health care plans to the American people.
That's
a lot of
actually not
Americans
even
can't afford
true.
health
He
insurance
sought to
right now
repeal
because it's
the
one of many
Affordable
things
Care
that's
Act
gone
and not
through the
replace
roof.
it with
They can't get
anything.
access to the
And
doctors
John
they need. They can't get
McCain
access
was
to the
the
prescription.
final vote, and his
Yes.
vote is what kept the Affordable Care Act in place. They had no replacement for it. He did not fight for health care at all. You're full of fucking shit.
Okay, so don't let them get to you, man.
Some drugs that they need, and Donald Trump has actually fought for affordable health care for the entire American citizenry. What I found so odd about this, Brett, about this entire speech and all of the things I heard from the convention speakers is they're painting this very dark and ominous portrait of the presidency of Donald Trump when Donald Trump's presidency delivered peace and prosperity for the American people. Why can't they run on Kamala Harris and what she's accomplished? Why do they have to lie about Donald Trump? It suggests that they actually don't have a whole lot to run.
They've been talking
Well,
about
what do you think about his
AG
comment? You going to
record, her
Yale,
record as a senator,
calling you
as a
basically Mr. Fancy Pants
prosecutor.
Ivy League.
God, he so dishonest.
Well, as you guys know, I grew up in a very poor family. I was raised by a grandmother who didn't graduate from high school. Dream. I'm proud of what I accomplished. And attack me, that's fine. But I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of what they sacrificed to make my life possible.
Are
and they're
you
going to keep
looking
on
forward to
attacking me. And that's
debating
fine.
him? Are you looking forward to debating him?
Oh, yeah.
Martha, I'm looking so forward to debating him that I volunteered to go and do the CNN debate in mid-September. But of course, Tim Walz talks like a tough guy and is running from that CNN debate. I think it's important,
This is
Martha,
the
for us to
first time
stand before the
anybody's
American
heard about
people,
that.
We're
answer
happy to
tough
have you.
questions, and actually persuade them.
What CNN?
I'd love to do it. I will gladly accept a Fox News VP debate, but I don't think Tim Walz will. But I appreciate you guys offering.
All right,
But
Senator
he already
Vance, we
sa-
appreciate
he already
your
said he
time
did-
and your reaction
God,
tonight.
Yeah, they're already on the schedule. There's
so
only one.
Dishonest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, panel, Britt,
It's just
There's-
idiotic.
there's only one
Junior
VP.
Rebel. Final thoughts
Yeah.
here, Britt.
The hell is
I
he
have a
talking
soft spot
about?
for Tim Walz that will last for the rest of my life. His speech was 17 minutes long, and we're out of here. Good for him.
I was wondering where that was going.
Okay. Dana.
I think that JD Vance showed tonight that he's got a calm, steady demeanor at this moment, and he knows that they're going to have their convention. But
Demeanor's
Friday
one thing.
is when everything gets harder for this campaign, and it will be on, and we'll see what happens. And then it won't be too long after that, September 10th, that first debate.
Harold.
He was as good. J.D. Vance was as good as I've seen him in this campaign, as good as I've seen him in a long time. This is what my party has to prepare for. Goodwill coming out of here. You have to expect VP Harris to give a great speech tomorrow, but this is going to be a tough campaign. And finally, I agree with you. I'm so glad we're out of here before midnight. And Democrats ought to figure out how to tighten this thing up tomorrow night so Vice President Harris can indeed speak in prime time.
Yeah, that's the bar for tomorrow night, Robert, to get her on while people are actually awake and can watch.
They better start at 4 p.m.
Actually, the
Yeah, let's
ratings
start
have been
early. Listen, I
record
think Governor
high.
Walz delivered,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah,
VP
which
Harris is
which
going to
crazy
deliver.
to
And then,
think about.
as
People are
Dana
actually
says,
watching.
the 60-day timetable begins right after Labor Day, and boom, there we go.
I'm curious. We just have a couple quick minutes. Who do you think is the rising star that we have seen? If you picked one person, who do you think that would be? You wanna
Wes
look
Moore.
back?
Yeah.
That's a
Good
good pick.
Told you.
Hard to say. I wouldn't bet against Wes Moore. He's pretty compelling.
He was very good.
Dana?
I'll take your Wes Moore and raise you Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania.
No.
I'd
No.
put
Probably
both
no
of them
use.
there. Someone whose politics doesn't necessarily appeal to me, but the congresswoman from New York, AOC, was impressive here the last day or
She
so. Really
goddamn
got the
was.
crowd
That was
excited.
one of the
She's
best
not my
speeches all
politic, but it was
weekend
exciting.
for
But
all
Shapiro and Moore is a
so
ticket,
far.
or
Doesn't
Moore,
hurt
Moore
that
and
she's
Shapiro's a
really
ticket out
camera
really well.
friendly.
Wow.
Going forward.
Yeah, her Moore
All right.
was good.
Well, listen, what we have
Jasmine
here is the
Crockett
end.
was fucking awesome. Those were probably like the best of the conventions so far. Bernie was really good. Obama was decent for the most part. Bill Clinton was actually a little bit surprising.
Obama
Really
was
good, too.
exceptionally good, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, apart from like,
As always, I mean.
yeah. He knows how to really appeal to a much broader coalition. That's not just. It's not.
I mean, the
just
guy's
about-
still soft. The guy's still obsessed with getting
That's-
everyone to
that's
like
my
him.
issue,
And I'm
yeah.
like, can't get past that personality flaw. And it is a
Right.
personality flaw
It is
when it comes
yeah.
to a president in this day, in this country. In other countries, I think that's a great quality in a politician. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I'm going to say in one of my future Jeter decrees, when someone wants to go to war with you, you have no choice but to go to war with them.
Yeah, like every time I see Obama talk, it makes me think like, damn, the president on Rick and Morty really is a lot more solidly based on Obama than I initially thought. It's like, yeah, insecure, wants people to like him, and it's just yeah, this has been really good. Unfortunately, God, I wish I could cover it tomorrow with you, but I have work, and they.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, but.
Well, maybe I'll see if Connor can jump on.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got all those tech issues figured out, and like they have, like because he was having like internet issues or whatever it was. But I can I'm more like I can hop in like the chat and whatnot, and
Sure.
interact through there in between work, no problem. But yeah, do the calls. I gotta make some money. I'm fucking broke.
I hear that, man. All right, yeah, I'd say overall the convention has been historically good. It'll be interesting to see if what other conservative channels, because I just can't help myself. You know, I love to watch these conservative channels just like absolutely get worked and just kid themselves into thinking that.
Yeah, it riles me up for damn sure, and it makes for good content. That's without a fucking doubt.
But I think we can probably wrap it up there, going up on a little bit over 2.5 hours now.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I guess we'll see you in the chat tomorrow night. And until then, don't forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. Take us away.
Yeah.
Final thought.
Night 4. Let's bring it on home. For whoever is still on my stream, there's a few of you. Go over to American Wasp with Dieter McBusiness. Go over to his channel if you're not subscribed. You should be. I've told you how many times. He'll be streaming it tonight or tomorrow night, and I'll be interacting with him in the chat at work. So let's see this convention through.
And you're going to be back on Monday, right?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. We'll talk about it afterwards. All right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Dieter McBusiness for StatPat, reminding you to know the heart and vote with the head. Although it's all about vibes, so it's actually not really one.
That's right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, based on the convention. Yeah. You guys have a good night.
All right. Nice. We're out. Cool. That was